Just don't put too much in there. That way when you knock it over, it's not a big mess. Doesn't have to be magnetic or anti-gravity or whatever. Just a little dab will do you. So I pilot drilled all the way through, center drilled the other side, and we're going to center drill this side. I'll flip all these jaws around so they're not hanging quite so far out. Now we've turned the plate around, and here we go again. Okay, so we've taken all 4 jaws right out, set them over there, along with their screws, and then this part sits over here, and the little wafer that is the 2 cuts, where the 2 cuts meet, that gets set over there, keep that company. And this is about 100 thou oversize on the OD. I'm going to turn this OD now that it's still centered up. If I was brave, I could probably just cut in from both sides to the final diameter and it would be fine, and we could almost leave that as the final product, but I always like to hit it, get it oversized, and then sneak up on it to get it to the final dimension. That's a 316 stainless plate, so it's a little bit expensive. Got that OD to size. I've chamfered this edge, and now I'm putting all 4 jaws back in. Okay, all the jaws are back in, snugged up against the OD. The trepanning tool is back in the tool holder. We've touched off, moved out the appropriate distance, and we're just going to double check the one edge of the cutting tool to the ODs apart to make sure that we haven't made any silly mistakes, and that's correct. We've got a 100 thou to take off to bore out when we're finished to get to our final dimension approximately, so that's very good. are. The ID is correct, or the OD is correct, the ID is correct. We've chamfered that edge, we're just about to chamfer that edge, and then we've got to chamfer the back side of it. We got to flip it around and hit those. And I think we're at the 35-minute mark to get to this point. So I cheated in a big way here to get the other side to chamfer it. I just backed off 2 jaws, flipped it, and then touched off, and where it was touching first, I tightened those jaws just a whiff more to get it shoved over. It's not, you know, clamped ridiculously tight in here, but plenty enough to just break those 2 corners, which are done. So I did the outside first, and I got it looking pretty good, and then I hit the inside so that it'll be trued up as much as the outside is. So it's just an exhaust flange. It's plenty fine enough for what it's doing. Okay, here we got it in the, looks like a Bridgeport. We laid it out with the coaxial indicator, got it zeroed up, and then just laid out the bolt circle with the magic of the DRO, and then punched our way through with about a 3/16 sheeter's drill, kind of like a spot drill, and then chasing after it with about a 9/16 Morse taper and an adapter there, and we're into it for about 20 minutes so far. So by the time we get all the holes punched in there and the chamfers put in, will be almost as much time drilling and chamfering as we were turning in the lathe there. And there it is, finished product, ready to give to the welder. So unfortunately this isn't going to be the time, but one of these days I'm going to set up a ring on the rotary table and cut it out with an end mill. Likely I'll try it with either aluminum or mild steel. From time to time we get the call for flanges of all materials, so I'll probably start with something just a little bit more compliant than 316 stainless, but I can't find any data about slot cutting with 4-flute end mills. All the manufacturer's literature seems to indicate if you're cutting a slot, as if we were cutting this out of a square piece, let's say, they seem to call for 2-flute end mills, and I guess that makes sense. But if anyone has some suggestions as to feed and speed for the, looks like a Bridgeport, but it's not, that's got a lot of wear in it, I'd be somewhat curious to know. I don't do much sort of deep slotting with this machine, and it never really seems to work out all that well for me, so I've figured out all manner of other things to do than you know, deep slotting with it. So, but maybe somebody's got an answer. 3-flute end mills, perhaps? I've never tried those. Maybe a more aggressive helix. I haven't tried those either, so I'm sure there's lots that can be discovered yet. So if you have experienced deep hole slotting, either in a circle or you know, linearly, I'd love to hear about it. And I just happened to look at the end mill that was in my hand. I just grabbed it randomly out of the drawer. Do you think that's supposed to be ground that way?